Welcome back to the channel. Let me ask you something. Do you like having to bring 10,000 rounds of ammo just to survive your missions in this game? Does this bukkake session in the middle of the mall really rustle your jimmies and make you want to get involved? Do you play solo because the community's kind of rancid already?
He's jerking me off, shut up.
He's doing what? Mother of God. Well, if an old fart like me can do it, so can you. This is your solo guide to Tiger Bay. Alright, so first things first, just like the last video, we're going to go into MS Paint. And I'm going to draw some fucking arrows on this stuff. Top arrow is headquarters. Middle arrow is UNLRA. That peninsula there is Devil's Dick. The one down there is the Ripper Key. The middle arrow is the mall. And that arrow there is the one quest that you need to actually, that's actually on that side of Tiger Bay. So, it's really not an issue. There you go. I'm going to draw you guys some lines. For the too long didn't read people, most of the time for the northern portion of Tiger Bay, I'll be using India 2. In order to get over there. If you follow these arrows and the way that I perform them in the video, it will be easy to understand. If you don't feel like watching the video, just watch to the end of these lines I draw and it will make more sense. This is a very, very quick, little drawing I'm making to kind of give you the gist of it. I know a lot of people don't have the time to watch a 30-minute long video. That final arrow there that I just put down was for the Ripper quest. I will not be going over that in my video. However, let's get to it. So, immediately landing over here at the LZ by Bonpa, we're going to head directly to the water. And we're going to head towards headquarters. Now, be aware, I've fought 8, 9 enemies exactly where my character is currently standing. If you're paying attention right now, you can see that guy at the end of the road. Several enemies will also spawn in that little area to the right. Enemies do spawn in this little wooded area that I'm currently scanning. They can be a problem if you let them sneak up on you. Coming up over the top of this hill, I've also seen 3 enemies in a cluster at the base of this hill on the opposite side. Be ready for those. If you do run into these guys, they will aggro everybody in sight and they will push you immediately. Your best bet at that point, and it sucks, is to relog and get a new server, because you can fight your way through if you want, but Tiger Bay is notorious for having about 500 enemies in it, and to get pushed by 100 in a place where you have no hard cover, that's GG. You're not going to make it. Anyway, moving to the headquarters building, we're going to stick to the water to our left, where you are going to walk, no sprinting. If you sprint, you need to realize that your sprint will aggro the enemies. Whether you are shooting or whether they can see you or not. I think it doubles the aggro radius while sprinting. So walk up to this. This is going to be a repeated term multiple times. Always walk. You don't need to get anywhere faster if you're going to end up dead there. You know what I mean? This is how I approach. I sprinted a little bit. There are several enemies right here. I took this a little faster than I should have, and I barely get out of here with my life, but we are successful. But like I said, only just barely. Now this room that I'm going to try to charge into is going to be your saving grace. This is the room that you want to try to get into no matter what the cost is. Get in there as quickly and as rapidly as possible. This room is essentially the safest part in all of headquarters. If you're solo, your best bet as far as Tiger Bay is concerned is going to require 2 things. One of them is patience, and 2 of them is a shitload of ammo. While you're sitting in this room, you'll have a decent vantage point for your ears to hear out in front of you, as far as the bushes and the pier enemies, behind you in the parking lot, and in the building itself. Several enemies spawn inside the building, and the enemies that I was talking about earlier in the area on the right as we were walking up will start to push you at this point. So you are 100% completely surrounded. Tiger Bay is a son of a bitch, and it's a lot worse when you're by yourself. So you need to dedicate some time to this, and it's going to be a slow and arduous process. when you're loading up your kit to come out here, you should probably think, how much ammo do I think I'll need? And then triple it. I come out here with 3 stacks of ammo in my rig, the top row of the biggest bag in the game full of ammo, as well as 3 stacks in my container. You are going to burn through shitloads of ammo. Bring as much as you can hold comfortably. Like I said earlier, sitting in this room and waiting for the enemies to push you is probably going to be your best bet. Slow peeking and swinging when you have the opportunity and you know where an enemy is the best bet, and resorting to hard cover at all times will ensure your survival. The enemies on the pier are a real son of a bitch, and the guys that push from behind me as well are going to be a real problem, i.e. this dude. A large problem that people have with Tiger Bay is the fact that they cannot, you're fighting bushes essentially, and once the AI see you through a bush, they're going to be able to see you the entire time. So if you can mitigate as many bush fights as you can, I would do that. That key I just showed you is the UNLRA key. It's for a quest in the building next to you. I'm going to show you guys the room here in a second. But step by step, this is typically how I'll take the headquarters building. I know a lot of people go from headquarters through that little alleyway in the back to get to the camp, the UNLRA camp. Me personally, I'm not a fan of doing that because it is essentially one big giant bush, and in order to get over there, it requires more luck than actual skill. It's funny, these enemies are what I call flip-flops, and by flip-flops I mean the non-military guys that are literally wearing flip-flops. And like I said earlier, you are going to be surrounded this entire time. Make sure that you're checking your angles and you're peeling your corners. And avoid facing a bush for too long. Just like that, exactly right there. I just checked the entire area, gave it a quick scan. Not a single enemy was visible, and I was still taking rounds. And the rounds were accurate, so avoid showing your ass as much as possible. Like I said earlier, there are enemies in the building. Oftentimes they will push you, like this dead body in front of me here. Be ready to react. That's an issue there. Like I was saying before, a lot of enemies are behind you, and that little tiny gap in the window, for whatever reason, these fucking enemies are Chris Kyle's cousin, and they can shoot you with iron sights from the hip 7 times accurately from 100 meters. So, hey, Madfinger, figure it the fuck out, please. Anyway, moving on. I think at this point we have completely cleared the area. This is typically how I will take over HQ. Get in here as quickly as possible, keep to the water, climb the rock, and then take out the 3 or 4 enemies on my way into the building. Once you're into the building, it's like playing Nazi zombies, except the Nazi zombies have guns. Just take your time, let them push to you, take your shots when you can get them, and don't force anything. This room that I'm in here uses the NRLA lab key, and inside that refrigerator is going to be the quest that everybody seems to be stuck on because nobody can find the key. To get out of here, we're going to be taking the exact same way we came. Be aware of enemies either spawning in behind you or moving into the area that you came from. Like this guy, who seems to be fucking Superman. And then just go back the way you came. Follow your footsteps. Back to India 2, outside of Bonpile. We're now going to use this route that I take to get into the UNLRA camp. We're going to bypass headquarters completely by sticking to the woods at the base of this mountain. I would stick to the base as much as possible. Lamau, nice. And try to avoid that little area to our left. Skipping a little bit ahead so you guys don't have to watch me walk through the woods. This area right here, with that hill in front of me and that wall to my left, I'm going to go directly between it. You go over that wall, several enemies. You go on the opposite side of that hill, several enemies. If you walk through here, don't sprint. You won't aggro any of them, and you'll be able to walk your happy ass to this little complex that I'm going to show you here in a moment. When I said don't sprint, I meant specifically across the road. I'm going to do a little left peek here, and you're going to see a handful of enemies. If you sprint, there's a good chance that they will see you. Left peek, down the road, 2. 1, yeah, 2. Don't sprint. If they aggro, Everything at headquarters will aggro. And then your trip to this complex to our right, immediately to our right here, is going to be a lot more difficult than you need it to be. To the left of this complex is the front gate to the UNLRA camp, but we're going to take it slowly and methodically rather than charging in there and fighting 12 enemies at a time. What I do is I walk up to the back of this white wall and I hop over it. In this area is this white building, obviously, and on the left and the right of it are vehicles and angles you can take on this alleyway. There will be enemies to the right and enemies to the left, obviously, where the front gate is. Do a quick little scan, see what we're working with. Don't take any shots yet, just because I want to see what we got going on. Intelligence is going to be your best friend in this game, so you use it. Gain it as often as and as early as possible before you take fights. On this side of this building, there is a truck to the left of this wall. You can shoot through the windows of this truck, and the enemies don't seem to shoot back, so use that to your advantage. I don't know how long that will last. It seems kind of buggy to me. Once you take that first shot, you're going to aggro the majority of the enemies over there. Oftentimes they will push. Oftentimes they like to sit over there in a group. Take your time. Pick them off one by one. And again, don't force anything. See what I'm saying? That guy pushed from our left. He's close left at this point. It's just going to require you to go back and forth multiple times to take the enemies out as they show up. Here's a little fun fact, a little tip for you. While I'm healing myself and my gut's fucked up and my lungs are jacked up. If your gut goes out, you are going to have a very, very difficult dizziness effect. IRL tip, if this happens to you and you don't have the time or the ability to heal yourself at the moment, close one of your actual eyes, like out of game, and it won't be great, but it will mitigate the issues that you're having. Now that we're all patched up, take out this last guy. I do believe at this point we are clear. Be careful when you're swinging those guys. That little woodpile will raise your aim, and it could throw you off just long enough to get you killed. If you have the ability and the wherewithal to know not to step on that and throw your aim off, it's for the best. Checking one more time to the right. And again to our left through this window. Seems as though we're clear. So what we're going to do now is take a hard right and jump over this wall across the street. Hearing them aggro, you know that they're still there. That jump is very risky if you haven't cleared everybody out, but I got lucky there. I typically like to come into this room, check for enemies in this alleyway, and pack mags and heal if I need to. Oftentimes there is 1 to 2 enemies in here. Just so happens that I got lucky this time. Of course, we're going to continue to peel our corners and make sure that we're not leaving any, stone unturned. Luckily in this game, if these guys know where you're at, they always talk shit, talking about fucking my mother and all that craziness. So if you don't hear anything relatively close, you should be okay. While playing solo, you have to be methodical. You have to take your time. I know everybody wants to run around like they're Rambo, but this ain't that kind of game. Checking our corners. This little gap between the light post and the front gate is typically what I like to shoot through. While the enemies are relatively accurate, a little bit of hard cover to shoot between is always good. This bush directly in front of me is going to be your biggest issue. AI will shoot you through it, and you will never see it coming. Always make sure that you're rechecking that over and over again, spraying rounds through it, just to be safe every now and again when you hear audio cues. Again, these enemies will continue to push you. Just let them come. Eventually you will clear the area. Another reason I like to take this angle rather than the angle from headquarters is due to the fact that when you go into the main gate, you're actually fighting downhill. Mom, get the camera. This is the route that I like to go. I like to go from inside of that little alleyway that we were in a second ago, shooting them through that little gap, then jump over this wall to make sure that the front gate is clear. At this point, you're probably going to have to fight an enemy or two inside of this front gate, but it's a lot better than fighting 8 in a bush. Case in point. Moving forward, I usually like to take a right and go into that tent. There happens to be an enemy there now. I'm pretty sure I whiff. Moving forward, you see the gap between the tent on the outside of the fence and the tent inside the fence. This one right here. That's going to be your biggest enemy. Hard to see through it. They can see you easily. Make sure you're keeping that in mind. At this point, most of the enemies should be handled, but always make sure that you're continuing to clear your corners. A lot of the enemies that would be at the front of the camp are already dead due to the fact of them pushing you. And, you know, taking the route that we took will make them push away from where you're at now. So even if they're not dead, they should be kind of away from you. That little building that I just circled with my sight, there's usually a guy in it in the closet in the back. He's kind of a cheeky bastard, and he doesn't come out until you go into that building. We're going to double check just to be sure. I'm skeeved out, huh? Sure shit. Make sure you check in this little closet. Again, this little spot here is a good spot to, you know, heal up, pack mags, the usual. Moving forward, the enemies in this game are very unpredictable. They can be in here, so always check every corner that you plan on walking around. I'm not peeling corners very often because I've already kind of checked the area. The bushes in front of me right now are an issue as well. If you haven't cleared the enemies out front of the area that I came from, they will smoke you from the bushes, which is another reason I like to go the way that I came. There are always enemies over there by the UN tents as well. Take your time. Slow peeks. And always shoot first. Small control bursts is a much, you know, more accurate way of firing. Especially in this game. I'm not really entirely sure why that is, but it feels so much better than just full spraying at anything outside of 60 meters. So I recommend giving that a try. Knowing that the enemies at the tents are down, I do know that there's going to be a few on the pier, or Devil's Dick, as I called it earlier. I call it that because it is a real pain in the fucking ass to get out there. And once you're out there, there is no cover. And if the enemies at the HQ are aggroed on you, they will fuck you up. So I would avoid shooting across the water if at all possible. Got lucky there. Small bursts. Gets the job done. There will typically be 2 to 3 enemies on this long pier itself. That building to your right there is the pier key. I'll go into there in a minute and show you what's in there. Taking a burst at where an enemy's next location would probably be, just to be safe. Inside of the pier key, it is a locked building. You can't shoot through these windows for whatever reason, and inside that building is typically always one spawn. Take your time. If you don't have the key, I really wouldn't worry about them too much. There is an open window at the front of the building, so keep that in mind. Slowly and methodically working our way towards the end of that pier. We're going to go inside the pier building now, checking that window I was speaking about a second ago. Along that riverbed there is typically an enemy or two that likes to hide in the bush. Be aware of that. I know for a fact somebody's in here, so we're going to take it slowly and peel our corners. Called it. Now, I love this site, but it does have a nasty glare sometimes. Inside of this building is what I consider the best armor and weapons crates in the game. They typically give you the best armor in the game, as well as best eyes, best helmets. That AMP1 is the best helmet in the game. Unfortunately, it's blue, so I wouldn't wear it into a PvP server, but PvE is just fine. This box here gives you high-level weapons to include this M700 suppressed, as well as I've pulled fully decked out M4s with voodoos on them, decked out shotguns, best grip in the game there. That's probably the best weapons crate in the game so far. Moving forward, you're going to have a quest that typically will be the last quest you need to turn into Gunny in order to get him to level 3. You have to go all the way out to the end of this pier, to which, like I said earlier, there will be enemies and there are a lot of bushes. Take your time. Spray the bush if you're uncomfortable, like I just did. I watched him go behind it. I knew he was back there somewhere, so I just let it rip. In order to complete that quest I was talking about a moment ago, you have to go all the way out to the end of it. There is a wicker basket. Walk up to that, and you will have quest complete. Live or die. You're successful. Congrats on Gunny 3. Just like the last part, the same way of getting out will be the same way that we got in will be the same way that we got out. We're gonna follow our footsteps and head back out of here. Always be wary of enemies that you may have missed. Tiger Bay has tons of enemies, and you might have thought that you've killed all of them, but I guarantee there's always one or two more. At this point, as far as exfilling is concerned, you should be able to just go through the front gate and then just head to your LZ. Sticking to the woods, obviously. Instead of that, I'm going to show you guys real quick the final quest line in the lab rat, I think. If you go over here, you're going to need I think it's the UN quarantine key, a very rare key, in order to open one of these buildings that I'll show you here in a moment. Inside of these tents are medical bags as well as, you know, other random loot drops, food, etc. If you open this door here with the quarantine key, there will be a body. For that quest, for those of you that are that far into the game, you will need a sample kit. Do not forget it. Because you don't want to have to do all this again, I promise. That key that you need for the building I just showed you was that one. And then the pier key, I'll just give you guys a real quick little peek at it, is this one here. Pier is pretty a common drop. I wouldn't worry too hard about looking for that one for too long. Now, the keys at Tiger Bay are kind of tricky. If you need a key with a UN on it, you're going to have to kill the enemies at the mall. The LAF guys, the military, the dudes at the mall, are the only ones that will drop the keys that start with UN. Just so you know. We're actually going to go backwards in order for me to explain the one quest that you have to go from the LZ that I'll show you in a second to the little town. I wouldn't recommend going anywhere other than that LZ that just popped up a second ago. And then just taking a scope with you and picking them off at a range. I would smoke the dudes in this building that we just passed, which is called the restaurant, and then use the restaurant as cover in order to smoke the enemies from afar. This tent, this one here, is also a quest. Super easy. You shouldn't even need to kill anything to do it. Just go inside of this building, or this tent. This road here is what I was talking about. Shoot all the enemies at the end of the road if you're going to try to get to the building. The quest item should be here on this table. This is another one of those areas where you kill one and 35 will push you. Keep that in mind. And they push you at a range, and for whatever reason, they're the most accurate fucking dudes on the planet, so keep that in mind. I'm going to move forward here and show you guys where the enemies at a range will be. This box that I'm drawing will typically have 7 to 8 enemies just deep in the field. Oftentimes, if you shoot at them, they will start to push you through the field, making them difficult to see. Just make sure that you're scanning the area and be correct about it. The quest building that you need to go into is the one that I just marked. You will have to fight your way over there. I will give you tips and tricks on how to do it, but there aren't really any. Stay in the restaurant, kill everything you can. Alright, this last section is how to get into the mall without firing a single bullet. You are going to get off at your LZ, the one that's farthest to the west, and you're going to head towards this white building that's there on my right. You're going to keep that building to your right shoulder and move through these bushes here. I've said it again. I will continue to say it. Don't sprint through this area. There are several enemies currently surrounding me. None of them know that I'm here because I haven't sprinted yet. I want to do a left-hand peek. You're going to see an enemy right there standing between the gates. Continue to walk. If you aggro them, you are in a world of hurt. You've got about 15 to 20 enemies to kill before you can even get to the mall. If you follow this route that I'm taking right now and doing it the way that I do it, you should be fine. And you shouldn't have to even fire your weapon. Once you get to the end of this, you're going to have several enemies to your back. You're going to hook a hard left. Walk through this bush. You can begin to sprint at this point. Hook a right outside of these flower boxes. Do what you will be able to see an enemy on the second floor there, as well as the first floor. Once you see them, I would recommend to not sprint anymore. Once you get to this palm tree, you hop over this wall. Every now and again, there are some flip-flop enemies in this little wooded area. And these rocks are a real pain in the ass. If you're not looking down and miss them, you just stop you dead. And there's a shitload of them, so watch your step. We're going to walk through this wooded area for a little bit. Sounds like somebody's in a fight ahead of us. That black sign on the wall that says Doldy Directly below that is a door, and that is our main entrance. That's where we're going to try to get to. So what we're going to do right now is hop over this wall right by this van. Check our left, because oftentimes there's enemies there, and our right. As of right now, there are 2 enemies deep. Continue to walk. They won't aggro until you start shooting, which you're going to have to do a very lot of right now. Walking up to the Dolly sign, there should be 2 to 3 enemies immediately inside of this door. Yeah, okay. Peek and repeat. You need to get inside as fast as possible, because those enemies to your right are going to be a problem. The second I see an opening, I take it. And I hook a hard left. Go in this door, hard left immediately. Luckily, those guys to the right never pushed, so I'm playing it slower. I'm going to reload and take this opportunity to get inside and hook a hard left. I think it's an enemy. No, it's a bush. Now they're shooting at me. I have to move. Hard left immediately. What I like to do is I like to come in here, close this door, and then put my side or back to the middle of it. This will force the door to not open if an enemy tries to walk in there. And then keeping my eyes pinned on that front door. Oftentimes they won't push into here, but I have seen it happen before, so keep that in mind. I like to go through that single door here in a second, but I also like to create myself some exfil areas. Enemies will come down the stairs that you saw on the way in immediately. They will also come through this main store here with the escalators that you're looking at now. The boss oftentimes will push, or is already in here. I think I might have killed him already, however. There's an enemy behind that pillar. The glass in front of you there, for whatever reason, they don't like to shoot through it. But right there he did, so I could be wrong. They might have fixed that. Taking a second to repack mags and get my ammo in the right order. I like to sit in here and let them push as they want. My goal as of right now is to kill as many enemies as possible before I decide to go upstairs. The upstairs fight is more comparable in order to maximize your chances of survival and taking the fights on your terms rather than getting pushed and have to fight on theirs. What I'll do right now is I'll open the small door. And if you left-hand peek and kind of get to the wall, you can see all the way to the front of the store and pick off the 1 or 2 that you can see. What I'll do once I see that that's clear is I will go upstairs. Careful, there are oftentimes enemies either walking up the stairs or down the stairs in order to get to you. Take your time, check your angles. This room here will have a door that will lead to one store, and then the one that I'm currently pointing at will have another door that will lead to another. Oftentimes there are enemies up here. Yep, sure as shit. Dispatch them as you see fit. And then again, it's rinse and repeat. You let them come to you. Take your shots when you can get them. This glass up here does seem to still be kind of jacked up. You can notice that I'm not getting shot at. You'll have a better example of this here in a second. Be careful of getting too close to that guardrail. Just based upon the law of being able to see, they will typically see your head before you see theirs. Look, this guy's not even looking at me. Neither is this guy. So use this glass while it's not patched. Again, take them out when you can. No need to force anything. The fact that you got this far is credit to itself. This glass door creates kind of a corner, and it's a great angle while this still works. Always be sure to check your corners when coming back through here. They will push up the stairs, and they will catch you with their pants down if you're not paying attention to it. Going back down the stairs. And checking corners again. These are the enemies that I was talking about. If you need the UN keys, these are the only enemies that will have them. So, if you're hunting them, this is it. Alright, we're going to get out of here. We're going to leave the same way that we came. jumping that wall. At this point, you're pretty much safe from most of the LAF enemies. Sometimes there are some outside that can see your head. Make sure that you are paying attention to that. And those two dudes that I saw on the way in that were up on the balcony, they're about to be a problem here in a second. I don't recommend sprinting. And make sure you're looking at the ground because these rocks they're so damn annoying. It's crazy. Tier 1 operator can't lift his leg more than 6 inches. Whatever. Jumping back over this wall and hooking a hard left. This exfil actually went kind of sideways, so I'll show you what I do there. Getting shot in the back as we speak, so I decided to start running. Try to get out of that area. Take a heavy bleed. I see several enemies directly in front of me to my left, so I'm going to go in here and hopefully take a fight that I can have heads up rather than side to side. Luckily for me, there was nobody in here. Stop this bleed real quick. That wooden gate back there in the corner is what we're going to jump over. And then we should be on the same route that to get out as we did to come in here. So, use that. Hop over this gate. And continue to walk. This sheet metal fence here, on the opposite side of it, is typically 4 to 6 enemies. If you sprint and they aggro and they push around that wall, they are easy to dispatch. However, they are, there's 6 of them. So if they round the corner all at the same time, either you have to have great aim or get lucky. Because once you're in that alleyway, there's really no hard cover other than jumping the wall again. And we know this game.
Negative. All birds are in the air.
They shoot through walls, and you can never get a chopper. And that's it. We're going to mosey our way back to the LZ and get us a bird out of here. I want to thank you guys for taking time to watch this video. Hopefully it helped you in some way or another. In the comments below, let me know where we should do next. I'm assuming the next one's going to be Fort Nerith. And then after that, we'll make some PvP videos or something of the like. Be careful coming out here, by the way. The woods to your right, I have seen enemies over there. And I have gotten through clearing the entire mall and then ended up smacked. Regardless, I appreciate you guys. You guys have a great rest of your day. Share the video and do all that fun shit. And I'll see you in the next one. Happy hunting.